This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're gonna acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I'm one of the hosts of the show here, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also the host of the Football Function Podcast. Spoiler alert, it's football season, so if you are a football fan and you enjoy, football content, previewing the weeks, reviewing the weeks, all that good stuff, you definitely want to make your way over to the Football Function Podcast. Subscribe on whatever podcast app that you listen to, so you get the episodes automatically downloaded and all that good stuff, and you can go and just catch up with the football season with us, and it's a pretty fun experience. But anyways, this isn't the Football Function. This is actually a very special episode of the SmackDown Review, and joining me on this episode, my humble co-host, John Carrasco. You can find him on Twitter at Big Speaker. That's BIGG_speaker. John, how you doing, bud?
I am doing pretty good, man, and here we are another week.
Yep.
Trying to break it down, stuff like that, and man, I can't really complain about the week, It felt like it kind of went by and everything like that, and it brought us to I'd say about a good, mid show, I guess you could say. It felt like everything was kind of like
flew by,
fast paced, So, yeah, I still thought it was a good one and everything like that. Kind of some question marks still hanging around and stuff, but let's get into it.
I thought it was, in terms of like the week of wrestling, you watch more wrestling than I do. You watch NXT, you watch AEW, at least whenever you can, bits and pieces. You've been bits and pieces at least. You're kind of starting to dip your toes in more than just, the basic main roster stuff on WWE, and that's pretty badass to see. Obviously, it like extends your fandom, makes you more knowledgeable of the entire product, not just like the in and outs of wrestling. I mean, the more you watch, the more you'll learn, but you're up to speed on storylines and characters and, wrestlers from other promotions, and that's only going to benefit you the more and more you go on. But I felt like this week compared to last week was a little bit easier to digest. Obviously, last week we were getting ready for Clash at the Castle. We were getting ready for the AEW pay-per-view, which, holy you-know-what, that's kind of been a big topic in the wrestling world. I'm really not going to get into it. All I'm going to say is, CM Punk sure is a stand-up guy, isn't he? But anyways, this week in comparison to last week, obviously, a little bit easier to digest. It's just a regular, typical week in wrestling. No pay-per-views or premier live events, whatever you prefer. Nothing like that. No side attractions, anything. Just, your typical shows, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, NXT. I don't know about Rampage. I'm sure that's going on or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, I did enjoy this week of wrestling. I watched Raw. Saw Braun Strowman's return. Pretty big, pretty juicy, big ticket item. And obviously the steel cage match, Bobby Lashley and The Miz. I enjoyed watching Monday Night Raw, watching Austin Theory kind of stumble his way through all those words, make all those screw-ups. That was entertaining. But I was really looking forward to this episode of SmackDown in particular. Why? Because this is my 99th here on the WWE Podcast. It's not the 100, but 99 is damn near just as important. This is my last episode in the double digits. And coincidentally, today is September 9th. So 9/9/2022, we're doing the 99th SmackDown review here. So it is a little bit like the wrestling gods kind of just had it work out like that, because I've missed weeks. I missed a couple weeks because COVID. It just, it is what it is. And it just worked out to where I would do the 99th SmackDown review on September 9th. And obviously, I'm thankful that you're here joining me. It's very important to the show. It makes the show itself, in my personal opinion, better. I feel like we're both getting better as we continue on here. And you saw Matt put the poll on Patreon. We really want you guys' feedback. I know that we don't always say that, but it is important to us. We really do. We like the interaction, whether it's on Discord or if you're reaching out to us on Twitter. Either way, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can get a hold of us various ways. I've mentioned it at the beginning of the show, our social media handles and all that stuff. feedback is very welcomed over here on the SmackDown review. Whether it's good, bad, and different, you just kind of want to let us know how we're doing, ways we can improve the show. Let us know, because we're definitely here to serve you guys. That's why we're here doing this every week, reviewing the SmackDown, just because, obviously we enjoy it. It means a lot to us. I was a WWE podcast listener just like you guys for like 2 or 3 years before I ever, spoke into a microphone. So I obviously take a lot of pride in this WWE Podcast Network, seeing the growth of it. And I was probably the only one that called it a network for a long time. I said, welcome to the SmackDown review right here on the WWE Podcast Network. And the reason why I feel like that is because of all of the different shows that we put out. It is essentially a network, in my personal opinion. That's just the way I view it, almost by definition, whatever. I'm not here to argue about that. I'm just basically saying that I take a lot of pride in, us being here for the WWE Podcast, helping Matt out, and then, just the bond that we've built with the listeners. We're in a fantasy football league with a handful of the listeners, obviously in Discord, hearing their voices in the mailbag and hearing their thoughts on wrestling. You kind of, as time goes on, you feel like you know them almost, or at least their perspective or their style of wrestling that they enjoy. The more and more I listen to the mailbag, the more like if I know it's a returning caller or a reoccurring caller, I can almost know, like, all right, I know which wrestler they're going to talk about or which show in particular they're going to talk about, whether it's Raw or SmackDown or NXT, whatever it is. But basically, yeah, just before we dive into the SmackDown here, I kind of want to just open the show with that, just by, putting the disclaimer out there. If there is any feedback that you guys have for us to improve the show, we will definitely take it into consideration. But do you have anything to add, anything like that, before we officially dive into SmackDown?
Well, you pretty much wrapped it up. I kind of just did want to touch up on the poll and everything like that. It was awesome to see, like the amount of people that kind of reacted to it, and like the suggestions that they had to, like, I guess you could say their opinions on what they feel is best and not best about the show and everything like that. But yeah, don't really have too much to add into it. Like I said, it is something great to hear, whenever you get the feedback, criticism, all that stuff. So, like you said, if you got it, shoot it to us. Don't be scared, I guess you could say. Don't hold back any feelings. We can take it just like any other person, I guess you could say. But we really want to know what's going on, what y'all really feel about it and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty big to us, I guess you could say.
Definitely. I agree. Definitely have a pretty thick skin over here, in my personal opinion. We could take the criticism. The only thing I will say, you heard it last week, the only criticism we will not take is office slander.
Oh.
If you come at us with some office slander, the gloves are off. That's all I'm saying. All right. But anyways, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this SmackDown that took place in Seattle, Washington. Shout out to the WWE Ringside Podcast. They're very interactive with us on Twitter, speaking of it.
Okay.
They were there in attendance, man. 8 rows, I believe, from the bottom section or something like that. Definitely good seats. He sent a picture on Twitter of his view, and it was definitely pretty impressive. Kanye Twitty also in attendance there. I believe it's like the beginning of a tour that he's going on, various different shows. But the Seattle crowd was into it, man. They're known for being loud for various different sports. Wrestling is no different, and they definitely showed up here tonight. But it was noticeable, man. One absence, somebody who wasn't there from SmackDown. And this sucks, man. You were wearing your SmackDown shirt right now. Repping Pat McAfee. We have a For the Brand flag right here in our podcasting studio. We are very well, entrenched in the For the Brand world with Pat McAfee. You guys know it. If you've been listening to this show for, as long as I've been doing it, it's no secret. Big fans of Pat McAfee long before he made his way to the WWE. So to see him take a little bit of a brief hiatus, it kind of sucks. It does, man. SmackDown's losing something. Obviously, Corey Graves, him and Michael Cole, they had chemistry together. It was almost like it didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
But there's just that aspect that Pat McAfee brings, the unpredictability where you really don't know what he's going to say. Some people might be annoyed with it. Some people might not like it. Some people might be happy that he's taking a little bit of a break. I'm sure there are some people out there that aren't big fans of Pat. He'll be the first person to tell you. He is not for everybody. And some people can only handle him in very small doses. So I understand that not everybody's for him. But, man, I was excited whenever he took his position at SmackDown. I know he's going to do good things over at College Game Day. Saturday mornings, he's going to be in Austin, Texas tomorrow morning, obviously, for the University of Texas versus Alabama game. If you didn't know about that, you definitely might want to tune in. But that's going to be a crazy game. That's a whole other topic for a whole other day. That is why Pat McAfee left SmackDown, though, to pursue this this other profession in the college football world. You know, I mean, he has his own show, his own daily show. He's made $1 million in like 7 different professions, I believe is what it was, and that was a while back. I guarantee that's updated by now. Probably you can add to that, but I mean, shout out to Pat for achieving another thing, having another thing on the resume. He tried. He wanted to do both. He did. At first, initially, he approached WWE and Triple H and said, look, I can do both. I did it last year. You know, whenever we did this, I did College Game Day and I did a SmackDown. It was like in Buffalo, New York or something like that. And shout out to WWE and Triple H for being understanding and basically stopping Pat McAfee from hurting himself, essentially. They're like, no, like, look, we get it. You know, you want to go do this, that's totally fine. You know, just take a little bit of a break. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your family if you are, you know, just on the road overnight every Friday night just to work on Saturday. I mean, I understand the logic behind it, so sucks for us, but football season goes by pretty quick, usually. That's how it always works. As football fans, you don't like that. But that is one, I guess, glass half full approach you can take is the sooner it's over, the sooner we get McAfee back on the commentary booth.
That is true, man. The only thing I could say about Corey, sorry about that, but whenever they're talking, man, it kind of feels like there's like a little back and forth between them, you know, like throughout the show, like Michael Cole was kind of giving them, you know, a little earful every now and then. So it was kind of entertaining to me. I didn't really like I don't know, some of the references that Corey Graves was saying. I can't really quote it, but I mean, just some of the stuff that he says just kind of hits me in the head, and I'm kind of just like, I could do that type of stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I'm kind of like, oh, man. But other than that, like you said, Pat McAfee, he's off the wall and everything, so that I guess that's what kind of is missing there, you know? So, yeah, I had to start it off like that.
Yeah, and just the way the show started off in general, physical as hell. Brawling Brutes versus Imperium, 25-minute match. I think 2 commercial breaks during this bad boy. One of them, as me and you talked about before the show, came while Gunther and Sheamus were kind of, you know, circling around, about to have a face-off, their actual first encounter in this match. They cut to commercial break. Very weird move. I wasn't a fan of it. You weren't a fan of it either. Just strange, and that kind of brings me to another point, or I guess a question you asked about the whole picture-in-picture thing, you know, from Raw to SmackDown, whether or not they do it. But I agree with you. It is a little bit weird that we don't see that on SmackDown.
Yeah, man. I wish they would actually, like, Fox adapt this to their, at least WWE SmackDown, you know, because what we're missing in between that, I guarantee, is like some, you know, some great stuff. Like you said, they went to commercial right between like a face-off, I guess you could say. So, you know, I can't really say that. I mean, it's like the one thing that I want to just like poke at this whole time, but then again, it's starting to become like one of those things like, oh, I'm going to watch Raw and I can see like the whole match the whole time.
Yeah.
And I come over here to SmackDown, I'm like, we got an hour less, you know, give us more of the wrestling type
exactly.
stuff, you know?
Yeah,
so, I mean, that's the only thing that I got to say about it.
Yeah. But as far as the match goes, I mean, just they were beating the hell out of each other. Mm-hmm. This thing was back and forth for the most part, I guess you can say. But one point in this match me and you both talked about, and we pointed out, was the 10 beats that Sheamus did to Ludwig Kaiser. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just 10, by the way. It was like more like 20,
25.
Including like one to the head at 25. The very end. 25, is that what it was? Man. Mm-hmm. But he was hitting the hell out of him. And then obviously the pops that Sheamus was getting throughout that match, man, it was pretty telling. And, you know, I'll tell you right now, Triple H listens to that. If Sheamus continues to get these kind of pops, you can expect him to get a pretty big push towards the end of 2022, maybe early in 2023. Either way, I feel like he's well deserving of it. And I would be all behind Sheamus getting another serious title run, whether it is, you know, maybe getting a shot at Roman Reigns. Who knows? Obviously, he's not going to beat Roman. Sheamus isn't going to be the person to dethrone him. But getting that exposure, you know, getting the chance to, you know, main event a couple pay-per-views, obviously, you know, work with Roman Reigns at this point in his career where all of the wrestling eyeballs are on him, essentially. I feel like the Sheamus deserves that at the very least. Maybe give him another reign with that Intercontinental Championship. Who knows when Gunther's going to lose it, but it's well known that, you know, that's really all Sheamus needs to complete that, what's it called again?
Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here for that. I would have stumbled through there, but anyways, yeah, that's all I need. IC title, but either way, Ridge Holland in this match falls victim to the Imperium bomb. Mm-hmm. and Imperium gets the win.
Well, man, this one was kind of crazy, man. I was just kind of listening and stuff like that. I didn't know Ridge was a rugby player.
I can believe it. Now that you say it, it's obvious. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
like seeing him just like in ring, like the way he kind of like, I guess his like agility, athleticism, I guess you could say, is kind of stiff. I guess you could say. You can kind of see that. It seems like he just wants to go in there and kind of buckle up and stuff like that right away. But yeah, whenever Michael Cole said that, I was like, man, that totally makes sense now. So I kind of like felt like all that trash talk that I was giving him back then was kind of like, dang, because he just came in from a whole nother sport to kind of, jump into this.
Yeah.
Like we've seen what Gable Stevenson.
Yes. Where is he, by the way?
That's what I'm saying. He's like the Olympic winner and stuff like that. Of course, he's supposed to be like, he got signed and stuff like that. Where's like that type of like championette that's supposed to be in this? That's a professional sport coming over here to,
yes.
Or I guess you could say professional wrestling. But yeah, coming over here, I thought that would be like a better transition rather than a rugby player. So that's kind of like blew my mind whenever I heard that. But I don't know, man. Butch, he kind of showed me something a little bit different about himself. He was going at Gunther and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So he the little dog is kind of starting to make that bark,
exactly,
that bite, rather than fight.
As long as Triple H is in the helm running things, I know that Butch, with air quotes, we're going to see a lot more of Pete Dunne, who he really is, his character, his his gimmick, his personality, everything about him, his style in the ring, brutal as hell. There was one, I guess, little run in this match where he did that little suplex. I'm not sure if you saw that. And right off the ropes, did that suplex, nice. Stomped on his fingers, kicked him in the face. It was an insane combo. I'm a huge fan of Pete Dunne, but just this match in general, man, they were beating the living hell out of each other, and I love to see it, man. And Sheamus, at 44 years old, to still be doing this, still be taking these beatings week in, week out, man.
I was going to say that chop to the head that Gunther had gave Butch whenever he was sitting down.
Oh, my gosh. Ludwig, he smacked the hell out of Ridge right in the face. Did you see that whenever he was, like, laying on the mat? He was, like, sitting on the mat. He had his hands behind his back at first, and he kind of kicked him. And then out of nowhere, he just cocked back and smacked him in the face. You're going to have to go back and check that part out because he did, man. It was a pretty stiff shot. I like seeing that, though, because they agree about that. Yeah,
it is good.
But we can go ahead and move on. Hell of a match. Like we said, 25 minutes, a quarter of the show right there, just wiped out. Up next, though, a pretty juicy item. Then the storyline kind of continued throughout the show. It ended with the main event, but obviously, backstage segments, conversations, a little bit of an introduction to Solo Sakoa, the newest member of the Bloodline, the Usos' younger brother, former NXT superstar. I don't even know where to start with this. I mean, as far as just, I love the faction growing. I want to start there. I love the fact that the Bloodline has another wrestler, somebody who can legitimately carry like the U.S. title or who knows, the IC title at some point, I mean, at the very least, 24/7 title, somebody who could add more gold to the Bloodline. And I know they have Sami Zayn. I'm not trying to, discredit him, but in terms of the true Bloodline, like, Solo does add to this group. Just in my personal opinion, obviously, that's not like going out on a limb or anything like that, but just his look. I mean, he has the, the tribal tattoos just like they do. The blonde hair is a little bit different. He does wrestle barefoot, obviously with his feet taped. I noticed that a little bit like Umaga, another Samoan Bloodline wrestler, one of their, late great family members. But continuing on here in this whole thing, basically, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, you see them have their differences on the microphone like we've seen in weeks past. Eventually, Drew McIntyre comes out with a steel chair. Looks like him and Solo are going to have a little bit of a face-off. Drew's going to get a good shot right at his back with a chair, but Sami Zayn pushes him out of the way, takes that chair shot, jumps in front of the bullet, if you will, and just takes one for the team. And that's something that Sami Zayn does for the Bloodline that I just wish Jey Uso would freaking understand, all right? Like, give the guy some freaking credit, man. There's a reason why the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, has approved him. There's a reason why your twin brother has approved him. Even Solo, in the, their backstage segment, because of this moment, he said, hey, you did that. I appreciate that. I see why Roman Reigns believes in you. And if I need anybody to have my back tonight, I'm going to call you. And that seemed genuine. It really did. Just from, my perspective watching it seemed like he meant that. So we do get that main event scheduled, though, after this segment because of the whole Drew McIntyre interaction, him costing him the match at Clash of the Castle. Clearly there is beef there, and there's reasons for these two to collide. So we get the Solo Sakoa versus Drew McIntyre match to close the show here later on tonight. But what do you think about this introduction of Solo?
Well, I mean, from seeing him at the Clash of the Castle, I was thinking I had been paying attention to him, I guess you could say, a little bit on Twitter and stuff like that. And he was giving little hints that maybe he might be popping up and stuff. So for this to actually happen, man, it was so off the wall to me because, Roman, he was down there by himself. You didn't really expect anybody to be, I guess, there to help him, have his back. So whenever this happened, man, I was just kind of dang, finally, now we can kind of add something into the Bloodline story that we can kind of work around for, a good amount of time now. Like you said, it's building into a 3-team. You never know. Now they can probably start moving into the direction of maybe moving to Gunther, Imperium, maybe busting doors open towards that IC title. But then again, you were saying now they got, 4?
Yeah.
So now maybe even Sammy can be even going over to Raw.
You're talking about getting the U.S. title,
trying
too?
to get and holding it all. So now that kind of makes more sense now that the group is bigger, So that's where my head is kind of in the direction of. But I don't know, man. Like you said, the hair color, maybe get them in some Bloodline gear, make them represent.
Maybe wear some red tape on the feet,
That'd be cool. Yeah,
something small that it goes a long way.
Yeah, for sure. But man, I just think there's just so much to work with now that he's been introduced to this.
Oh yeah,
faction.
Yeah, it's only the beginning. We're definitely going to see a lot more of him. I just like the off mic stuff he was doing, when the camera was on and when Drew was running down there and you saw him just saying you want to fight, you could read his lips.
Yeah.
And even going back up the ramp, you saw kind of what he was saying, and it wasn't. I want to be careful the way I say it, but it didn't seem like sports entertainment. Mm-hmm. That seemed like old school pro wrestling, something that someone would have said during the Ruthless Aggression or Attitude Era. Just brought back some old feelings when I was watching. I was like, man, I could really get behind this dude. Right at the gate, he's just something a little bit different about him. The towel on his head when he comes out. He does he's unique. He's not just like a carbon copy of the Uso. His name isn't Solo Uso, So I definitely enjoy this guy at first, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. But moving on here, Aaliyah and Raquel, the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, have a match against Toxic Attraction. A little bit back and forth, not a whole lot, but Tahana Bomb, that's what Raquel hits, her finishing move on JC Jane, and they get the win. What'd you think about this match? They're basically, it was a warm-up for what their match. Isn't it on Monday night against the Damage Control, or is that later on? I wasn't sure because I know that Damage Control has a match with them for the titles.
Yeah.
Is it Monday or?
On Raw.
So it's this coming up Raw.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's this was pretty much a tune-up. That's what they used it for. But what'd you think about this match?
Well, I mean, this one was actually pretty good. I mean, of course, it's still like that. I feel like it's still like that showcasing of giving Raquel more of the spotlight, being the dominant person in all this. But I mean, it works. It kind of feels like Aaliyah, she's like that extra little spice to kind of put them over the board to get that dub and everything like that. So I mean, I guess it's kind of working. I mean, but then again, you got to kind of think Aaliyah's not Aaliyah, Raquel, she's not going to be able to handle this beating this whole time, And then Aaliyah, she takes a small little bump and she's off to the side for 5 minutes and stuff like that. So that's the thing that's kind of just in the back of my mind that's kind of okay, maybe this can only last for a while, But I mean, seeing Toxic Attraction come back, try to get their, I guess you could say, redemption for, I wouldn't even say losing because they were out before or for injury and stuff like that. But still, they come back,
disqualified, I guess.
Try to show themselves, But I don't know, man. Gigi, I mean, we were talking about it off. She's a little slow and stuff like that in the ring. So performances, but I mean, I think that as the group, I mean, they're good, So I mean, them being brought over again is good, good for them, I guess say NXT brand and stuff like that. Because I was watching on them on NXT, and I saw that match between Doudrop and Nikki ASH, and
Yep.
I don't know, man. Maybe they need to just swap places, and I'd be okay with that. But other than that, man, I can't really say too much about it. I thought the match was good. Maybe that Raquel and Aaliyah can finally get a song for their pairing, I guess you could say, rather than just coming out to hers and stuff like that. But
Yep.
it's all right.
You know that meme or that popular meme that was going around of that? It's like a guy and a girl walking, and the girlfriend's
yeah.
like looking at him, and he's looking at someone else.
Yeah.
I'm the guy. Liv Morgan is my girlfriend, and Gigi Dolan is the girl walking by. That's kind of the stage I'm at right now. I'm in the middle of a transition. Gigi Dolan is going to be probably my new favorite women's wrestler going forward, and I'm happy to say that, honestly. But let's go ahead and continue. Speaking of women's wrestlers, we have a fatal 5-way elimination match. They should have just called this a fatal 5-way submission elimination match, because that's all it was. Submission after submission after submission. This match does include Lacey Evans, Sonya Deville, Natalya, Xia Li, and Ronda Rousey. Liv Morgan watching up in the rafters. Let's see here. It starts off with Ronda Rousey eliminating Natalya first with an armbar, and then Sonya and Ronda simultaneously eliminate Xia and Lacey with their respective submissions. So it ends up being a 1-on-1 match. There's 2 people left, which they really tried to hype us up and get us excited for Sonya Deville and Ronda Rousey, as if that was going to be some slugfest slobber knocker. I wasn't really too, I guess, excited to see that. I've never really been on the bandwagon of thinking that Sonya Deville's MMA background is anything that Ronda Rousey would even blink at. So that's just one of those things that I just can't really get behind. Is Sonya Deville actually thinking that she could, quote unquote, put her hair up and square up with someone like Ronda Rousey, and the little face off that we got with Ronda. It really wasn't a face off; it was like a face to face encounter with Ronda and Shayna Baszler backstage after this match. That was pretty impressive. But anyways, Sonya makes light work of, Ronda makes light work of Sonya, and earns herself a number 1 contenders match against the woman that took her title at Money in the Bank, and then got the controversial win on her at SummerSlam. Obviously, the tapped out while at the same time the referee counted 1, 2, 3. Hopefully it's nothing like that, man. Liv needs a legit win if she wants anybody to believe in her at all. Unless, other than the Liv Morgan stands out there who just absolutely love Liv regardless. They just want to see her win. Doesn't matter how. She could win by count out. She could win by, disqualification. It really doesn't matter as long as she keeps the championship. That's all they care about. And that's fine. I've been there. I've been there as a fan. That's just, it doesn't matter. I want to see my guy win the championship. I was like that with Roman Reigns whenever he first won the WWE Championship, back whenever he was a babyface. So, but in terms of the rest of the wrestling fans out there, they want to see Liv. It's not like they have a problem with her. They just want to see her be credible. They just want to see her win legit. And I feel like if you could beat Ronda Rousey again, this time make it a legitimate win, you'll finally have something to hang your hat on, and maybe you can start winning over some of these naysayers, some of the people who really don't believe in what Liv Morgan brings as a WWE Women's Champion. And I got to say, I'm not necessarily feeling this championship reign either, man. And I'm a Liv Morgan fan.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say about this, man, because I don't know why they're going back to it. There has to be a reason. There has to be something that they want to point out to us. I'm hoping that Ronda doesn't win. I hope Liv does keep it. But, if she does happen to pull this off, and I don't know if it's, the submission thing that was, so, I don't know, highlighted in this match, that's going to maybe, transition over. Because I was reading that they want to make
Liv?
Well, no, they want to make submissions way of winning.
I hope so, man.
So, if they're doing that, I'm okay with it, because it's going to add, something to Liv if she wins by submission in that next match, just adding some more stuff to her bag. So I think that'll move in the credible way, but like you were saying, man, I don't know about the reign and stuff like that. It's hard to follow, but I want to see her do it tired of the Ronda back and forth. Kind of feels like the Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar thing in a way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just want to get past that. But the thing that was crazy was that interaction between
Her and Shayna.
Yeah. What if they become a tag team?
Oh my gosh, that's what people want to see, man.
That would be brutal. And if they did that, man, I'd be behind that team to be
women's champions. Yeah, tag team women's champs. Yeah, I would too. If you pair them team up, it would be tough to find a team out there that could, give them a run for their money. I mean, Charlotte and Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair and Charlotte, maybe. You have to literally assemble a team of all stars, essentially.
Sasha and Naomi.
Nah.
Still no? I think so. That'd be a
that'd be better, but I personally think that. Well, I mean, it just depends who's booking the match. If Vince McMahon books the match, Sasha Banks is going to absolutely dismantle all of them. But if Triple H is booking it, Shayna Baszler is a threat whenever Triple H is behind her. So who knows? That's interesting. It's a good hypothetical.
She lost to Liv, though.
Yeah.
Lost to Liv.
Yeah, definitely she did.
You never know.
It's a good point right there, under the Triple H umbrella. So, yeah, it's a good point, But since you're on a roll here, let's go ahead and move on to one of your favorite topics of the night, which is an 8-man tag match, Maximum Male Models and Los Lotharios versus Street Profits and Hit Row. Some outside shenanigans obviously took place. Really didn't matter, though. The Hit Row and the Street Profits end up getting the win after, what was it, a heavy or hard hitter? Something like that? Heavy hitter?
Heavy hitter.
Heavy hitter? Okay. I knew it was one of those, definitely, but I expected this team to win without a doubt. I mean, it wasn't even close to me. The gear that Mansoor and Massey were wearing was a little bit odd, a little bit distracting during the match. Obviously, you're like,
weird.
How can you perform, at tip-top level wearing stuff like that? But I asked the same question about Baron Corbin whenever he was wearing slacks and like a button-up shirt in matches, so to each their own, I suppose. But this match, I was kind of just waiting for it to end, honestly, just being completely honest. The Street Profits, I'm all for. I love the Street Profits. Not extremely high on Hit Row. Everybody knows that. Maximum Male Models, I'm still taking the wait-and-see approach. It's clear that I'm not like a huge fan of it, but Los Lotharios, I do feel like they're a legitimate tag team whenever they actually get some, ring time, some actual time in the match, and they're not just, kissing random fans and things like that. So there are some talented wrestlers involved in this. They're just kind of tied up in this whole weird Maximum Male Models Hit Row dynamic. It's definitely a little bit strange, but I'll let you go. Well, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, on this, I can't really say too much about it. Like I said, I'm still rolling with it, trying to take the most out of it, I guess you could say. Like you said, Street Profits and Los Lotharios most credible out of them.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. The way that Maxine jumped in front of Top Dollar before he was going to go over that rope, and then B-Fab came and pulled her off the side of the ring. Now it's kind of, involving the managers. Even Max took that little kick to the face, man. So I don't know what to say about it. There's just, like I said, there's just so many moving pieces to it that you can't really put a finger on what's going to happen next. So I guess it's like the thrill of the next episode to see what's going on about it, but I don't really have high hopes for it. I kind of hope that they kind of start breaking off into something else now, but just doing this back and forth what they're doing just doesn't feel like there's any there's nothing behind it.
There's no traction. They're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, so I'm kind of just at a crossroads with it right now.
But yeah, obviously Hit Row, Street Profits pick up the win. Did you expect anything else? No, you did not. So let's go ahead and move on. Alpha Academy, they come out to quote-unquote ruin Braun Strowman's return to SmackDown. They're out there, they're taking shots. They're saying shoosh, all that good stuff. They actually do take one shot that I know hurt the people in attendance. Whenever they talked about the Seattle losing the NBA team, talking about the Supersonics, man, that hurts. I know Seattle fans are still bitter about that, man. They love their sports. And the fact that, they just lost Russell Wilson, now you're going to rub the Supersonics, which they still are not over.
I thought he was going to throw that in there.
Oh, he should have. I don't know why you didn't. The game's coming up on Monday night. That's a missed opportunity right there by Chad Gable and all the Hills who had a microphone in their hand tonight. So I definitely should have taken advantage of that. But you take enough shots at Braun Strowman, eventually he is going to come out, and he does just that. He manhandles both of these people. Obviously ends with a very impressive powerbomb on Otis, which I cannot say I've seen anybody do. I'm sure it's been done before, but I truly do not know if I've seen anybody powerbomb Otis with ease quite like Braun Strowman did. One thing I will say, though, I'm going to get it quickly out of the way. It's not a huge, super big deal. Just let me know if it bothers you guys. The septum, or is that what it is? The septum piercing that Braun Strowman has? Is it the septum?
I'm not sure.
I think it is. But either way, you know what I'm talking about. Yep. Right there in the nostril, that little piercing. Some people pull it off. Some people do. I'm not a huge fan of it on Braun Strowman. And that's it. I'm not even going to rant on it. It's not a huge deal or anything like that. I noticed it. I wrote it down in my notes, and it's just one of those things that's a little bit distracting. I feel like just it's dangerous too. That's just another thing. It's a safety aspect. It's something you don't want to have in there. But hey, Rhea Ripley has piercings all over, so I guess if Braun Strowman wants to, he can as well. It's just new, I guess. But that's just it is what it is.
I guess I can add a little bit to that because he also has the nipple piercings. I don't know if you've seen that last on Raw.
I did not.
I do. That's one of the things. I even saw that on. Who had a freaking? Giovanni. He had a earring on. I was like, bro, how can y'all have those piercings on whenever those can possibly be just ripped out easily just on a shirt or netting or
Yep.
So. Yeah, I was kind
did not notice the nips on Braun Strowman.
Well, I mean, they were freaking just like camera right in his face type stuff on Monday, and he was just walking around arms up and stuff like that. And you see those freaking things, I was like, bro,
all right,
you need to take those things off.
Definitely got to be careful. At least put some of those flesh tape like Band-Aids on it, like they make you do in school if you have like a nose piercing or something like that. But
yeah.
Anyways, let's see here. Moving on, it's the main event: Drew McIntyre versus Solo Sakoa. Basically trying to showcase what he can do. Obviously, Drew McIntyre's the cream of the crop. He's one of the best wrestlers in the company right now, in the entire industry, if you really want to go that far. And to have your debut match on the main roster be against Drew McIntyre, I feel like that is an honor. It's something that I know he's going to remember. Drew's a wrestler that, you're in good hands when you're in Drew McIntyre or when you're wrestling Drew McIntyre. So definitely, I feel like starts him off on the right foot. This was a very physical match. Hell did end up breaking loose, obviously. The Usos and Sami Zayn get involved. The Street Profits come out for some reason. I have no idea why. And they get involved as well, just, I guess, try to even the numbers up. But eventually, the picture goes black and white, and we see Karrion Kross sneak up. And I don't know if that's called a cross jacket or what it is, or if it's just a chokehold. Either way, he chokes out Drew McIntyre. Essentially, you see the lights kind of go black and white. Obviously, the lights do end up going off before SmackDown goes off the air, just to symbolically say that Drew McIntyre's lights went out, and he's choking it out. And he was saying, Karrion Kross, that is, it's my time, while he was choking him out. And, he was there at Cardiff whenever the match happened at Clash at the Castle. So this was good, man. It really was, just in terms of like a main event, developing another storyline with Karrion Kross, keeping him relevant in the picture. That's something that I do like, especially on a show when Roman Reigns isn't here. And clearly that's where Karrion Kross's attention and, Scarlett, all that good stuff, that's where their focus is. But for some reason, they're still tangled up with Drew McIntyre. And it's very clear that at Extreme Rules in Philadelphia, Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross, without a doubt, that's going to be a match. What are your thoughts on the main event, Solo, and the prospects of Karrion Kross versus Drew?
Well, on that, I mean, I thought like you were saying, man, this was like the best opportunity for Solo to have coming in for his debut. I felt like you're saying, man, Drew, being in good hands, stuff like that. It seemed like he was kind of like helping him, guiding him whenever he was being thrown into the corner and stuff. When I don't know if he was telling him to hit him in the face or anything like that, but it kind of felt like he was guiding him to give him a little Irish whip to the other corner and stuff like that. So I felt like this was a good build for him and stuff like that, and definitely didn't disappoint. I just like the intensity that he has, Definitely. No,
Solo.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely not backing down, wanting the fight, I guess you could say, And like you said, Drew, he's a top guy. So, I mean,
good place to start.
Yeah, definitely can't say nothing bad about this.
Yeah, without a doubt. And just the fact that Karrion Kross is kind of just waiting there in the wings with Scarlett, man.
I don't know what to say about that, man. I mean, he's doing his part to, like you said, keep himself relevant, and then he's coming out and like I could say some of the best times to attack. I guess you could say, the lights going out, man. Michael Cole's voice talking while the like it was zeroing out. I guess you could say going dark and stuff like that. It just felt so great, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, but I was pissed that it ended like that. I was like, I grabbed my pen and I just. You can see my marks right there too, and I was just like, "Why did it have to end like that?"
Mm-hmm.
But it was great.
Yep, I agree. It was a little bit weird to see, but I liked them to switch it up a little bit. It made sense. I'll give them credit there, and it was a nice touch. Just to be completely honest, it was a little bit of a nice touch, just given what Karrion Kross is and the whole lights out. Like I said, it was symbolic, and I appreciate that type of stuff. I am curious though when we are going to see Sasha and Naomi return. I miss them. I really do. We weren't expecting them to leave. They're big parts of the SmackDown roster. I feel like the fact that SmackDown is putting on good shows while sharing their talent, while missing their top champion. I know Raw doesn't have a top champion either, but I mean, like we don't have Roman Reigns on our roster, and that's a big piece to the SmackDown pie. That's the straw that stirs the drink. And for them to, continue developing storylines, to continue developing the Bloodline storyline without Roman Reigns, without Paul Heyman, just simply with Sami Zayn, the Usos, and now bringing up Solo, you can't help but feel confident and feel good about the direction that not only SmackDown's going, but all of the individual storylines. Like every time somebody comes out, like the women's tag team picture, that catches your attention. The women's championship with Liv Morgan. You're really excited to see what happens there with Ronda Rousey, right? Like you're really, I don't even know if excited is a good word, but you're anticipating it because we want to know, is Liv going to be legit, or are they going to try to, get another little weird win under her belt? Obviously, did I already mention the Gunther stuff? The Imperium, Brawling Brutes? Yeah, that's another thing on SmackDown that without a doubt, anytime that comes on, it's one of my highlights of the show. So I really enjoy what SmackDown has going on. I do believe Braun Strowman is officially on the roster. We'll take him. I feel like that's definitely a good addition, but either way, I'm excited where the direction's going. Next week, obviously, our 100th episode here. It's going to be a good day, without a doubt. Going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like you said, just to kind of wrap it up on the end, man, I don't know what's going on, man. It's kind of crazy. Everything kind of everybody just kind of starting to come in at one time and stuff like that. So it's kind of just throwing me out in the loop and stuff like that, keeping my mind wandering on different events, different stories and stuff like that. So for little pieces to start coming together, it's great, And like you were saying, following AEW and NXT now, giving me the knowledge behind some of the different superstars from different brands and stuff like that is kind of great too. So I mean, it's all just kind of starting to feel just so fluid, I guess you could say.
Very good word. Very good word.
I don't know. It's just it just feels good, I guess you could say.
It does feel good. It also feels good to be at the end of the show here. That is the end of this SmackDown review, the 99th edition. I do want to thank you guys, obviously, for tuning in. First-time listeners, new listeners, our weekly routine listeners, the ones who always come back. We definitely appreciate you guys, without a doubt. You know who you are. So, definitely you have some love from us, the Blue Brand Brawlers here on the SmackDown review. So definitely want to give a shout out to you guys, all the other hosts here. Matt, obviously, means a lot to keep this train rolling for us, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Looking forward to next week. A lot of juicy stuff likely going to happen as we continue to work our way closer to Extreme Rules. So, things are going to get really, really extreme, really physical. I feel like that's right up the Brawling Brutes alley, so looking forward to that. But obviously, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, guys, tune into Football Function. I appreciate that. You're helping a brother out. You're helping a growing podcast out. Means the world to me. This is a really juicy time of year, and we try to keep you guys updated with insight and just letting you know what's going on in the football world. I know it's a lot to take in. A lot of people don't have the time to watch all the games, so let us do the work for you, and you just tune in, and hopefully you will enjoy those episodes. But John, do you have any shout outs, any plugs, anything like that before we sign off?
Well, man, definitely want to thank you for having me every week and everything like that. But I mean, man, yeah, like you're saying, football is here, man. I've been waiting for this, I guess you could say. High expectations for the Raiders and everything like that. So yeah, definitely ready for Sunday. But man, everything that's going on with football, man, picks and everything like that, man.
It's a good time, man.
Fantasy football, I mean, it's just gonna make the week like more for me to look forward to, I guess you say, rather than like having all these extra nights off and stuff like that. Yeah, so I definitely feel like my week's going to be packed and loaded with, you know, football, wrestling, and stuff like that. So it's good. But yeah, definitely want to give you a shout out, man. Football Function. Check out the podcast over.
Check it out.
Any stream that you listen to. But yeah, definitely want to wrap it up like that, man.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. And I will talk to you soon. Go Falcons.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.